Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in today's video I wanted to bring you another theory and speculation filled video about what I think we could very well see in the future of DC movies and not when it could happen, but how it could happen later down the line. Before I get into all that, of course, please be warned. This is I'm going to be referring to spoilers for both the movies Black Adam and Fast X, which may seem unrelated, but trust me, there's a connection, and probably other recent DC films as well. So watch this video with caution if you're not caught up on your most recent blockbusters, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, if you're not caught up, then maybe go back and watch those blockbusters and then come back and give this video a listen. But in the meantime, let's talk about what I have on my mind, which is, could we see a Black Adam and Superman fight someday? Sure, I think it's still possible. Yes, Henry Cavill may no longer be playing the role of the Man of Steel. However, they got somebody else to fill the role and fill the cape, so to speak, for James Gunn's upcoming DC film, Superman Legacy, which will be hitting theaters summer of 2025. They just announced the casting of both Superman and Lois Lane for that movie. And of course, I'm blanking on their names, but they're two fresh, young, and up-and-coming, very talented actors who I'm sure are going to do a great job with their respective roles. And considering the unfortunate lack of success that the Black Adam movie failed to generate, Dwayne Johnson is probably going to be focused on other projects for the next couple of years, which is actually okay because by the time they're ready for a Black Adam and Superman fight, he'll probably be ready to re-enter the fray. So what happened with Black Adam is that the movie underperformed, unfortunately. It wasn't received well financially or critically, but one of the few cool things about it was the post-credits scene, which featured the return of Henry Cavill as Superman. And this led us all to believe he was going to be back as Superman in multiple DC films. And that was true under the old regime at Warner Brothers. But then the regime at Warner Brothers changed. David Zaslav came aboard, James Gunn became the head of DC. So those plans went out the window because, as James Gunn put it, Henry Cavill was never fired. He just simply wasn't hired or rehired to play Superman, which is why they're going in a new direction with the new Superman. The good news is that James Gunn said, despite the soft reboot that the DCU is getting thanks to the Flash movie, which again, not doing the best, but I believe it does its purpose, which is give a gentle, soft reboot to the DCU. Some characters will be played by the same actors from what you would call the Zack Snyder era, and other characters will be played by new actors. So that would make sense with the casting announcements of Lois Lane and Superman being played by two completely different people other than Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. And it's a pretty good bet that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor will be recast. I can't imagine too many people will be upset about that, as a lot of people absolutely hated his portrayal and performance as Lex Luthor in the DC films that he appeared in. I personally had no problem with him. I thought he did a fine job, but I guess he was too Joker-esque for some people. So, that being said, Lex Luthor will probably be recast as well, and will probably be in the new Superman movie, Superman Legacy, but that remains to be seen and confirmed. What is interesting, though, is that we had a recent blockbuster which also had an interesting post-credit scene, much like Black Adam, and this one also featured Dwayne Johnson. It featured the return of his character's return to the franchise as the special agent Luke Hobbs. And this is interesting considering the public feud that he and Vin Diesel had a few years ago during the publicity of The Fate of the Furious. And then after that, he didn't star in any more Fast and Furious movies except for the spin-off, which featured him and Jason Statham's character Hobbs and Shaw. And besides that, I think the general impression was that Dwayne Johnson was done with the Fast and Furious franchise because of his feud with Vin Diesel. And that was it. We were never going to see him again. Well, apparently, behind the scenes, a peace treaty or something like that was formed, and they seemingly have buried the hatchet. And now Dwayne Johnson is coming back as Luke Hobbs in Fast and Furious X, and Fast X Part 2. and in his own solo adventure film, a Luke Hobbs movie, apparently. So this is interesting because I feel like this exact same scenario is going to play out later down the line, maybe 5-6 years from now at DC and Warner Brothers. That's when we will probably see Black Adam again. And hopefully it'll be in a movie or another post-credit scene featuring his confrontation with the new Superman. I think his name is Corin Sweat or Cronin Sweat. John Cronin Sweat. That's the new guy playing Superman. I think they could easily be seen in a movie together, and they fight each other and then perhaps eventually become allies or at least frenemies. Who knows? But I still believe that a Black Adam and a Superman fight is very much on the table. It's just going to look a little different from what Dwayne Johnson originally had intended. Obviously, he wanted Henry Cavill, and he got him for a few seconds in the post-credit scene for Black Adam. But then things change behind the scenes, as they often do in the entertainment industry so very frequently. It's just the nature of the beast. But despite the changes, I feel like we still very well could get a Black Adam versus Superman fight, whether it's in a movie dedicated just to those two or it's an ensemble film featuring both those characters. Whatever happens, I'm pretty sure it's still in the cards, in the works. It's just going to be a matter of time if and when we ever get to see it, because now Dwayne Johnson will be busy with the Fast and Furious franchise for the next couple of years, along with all the other projects that he's currently working on and the movies he's starring in. He's a very busy guy. He's a superstar. You know, he's got a very tight schedule. And meanwhile, we still have yet to get Superman Legacy featuring our new Clark Kent and our new Lois Lane. And I'm sure that movie's going to be awesome, brought to us from the very talented and wonderful James Gunn, who's proven more than once that he's a capable and remarkable storyteller. So I'm sure we're in for a real treat with Superman Legacy. And I think it's just a matter of time before Black Adam returns to the big screen in the form of Dwayne Johnson. It might look a little different from how we all thought it was going to be with Henry Cavill's Superman back in the mix at the time, but now it's just going to be somebody else playing a different Superman, and that's okay, because honestly, the kid kind of physically resembles Henry Cavill, so there's really not much of a difference there. And I still believe whether they follow the post-credit scene for Black Adam or if they have Black Adam and Superman meet under completely different circumstances in another upcoming DC film later down the line, I believe anything is possible at this point. So my point is that it may be many years away, but I still think we could get a Black Adam and Superman fight. And hopefully they stick with their original plans, which sounded like their original plans, which was have them fight each other and then eventually have them become frenemies, or at least reluctant allies who team up to fight even deadlier foes than one another. I think it's just all a matter of time, and given the busy schedule of Dwayne Johnson and the restructuring of DC, it's going to be a while before we see any of this unfold. But it's going to be 5 or 6 years later down the line before we know it. Time's going to go by that fast, and who knows what can happen. It is very, very exciting, and I do see this as a strong possibility, because if Dwayne Johnson returned to the Fast and Furious franchise after seemingly being done with it, the exact same thing could happen with him returning as Black Adam. It's worth noting that he never officially said he was done playing the role. He just said Black Adam wouldn't appear in the first chapter for DCU's first phase of storytelling under the direction of Peter Safran and James Gunn. And they said that the door remains open for Black Adam to return in other DC multiverse films. It's just a matter of when and where. And James Gunn himself said that he looks forward to working with The Rock. So clearly, Gunn intends to use Black Adam some point down the line. It's just a matter of when. But in the meantime, we've got plenty of other movies that aren't related to DC or the Fast and Furious to enjoy between now and then when these movies eventually do come out. But I still believe that the possibility for a Black Adam and Superman fight is definitely still in the works or in the cards. You know, it may look a little different from what everyone originally thought it would, but it could still happen. And I believe that tease could very well still pay off from that post-credit scene in Black Adam. At least I'm hoping beyond hope that it does. So what do you guys think? Do you think I'm just blowing smoke, or am I onto something? Or am I completely off my nut? Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Please be kind. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Black Adam is currently streaming on HBO Max, or just Max as it's called. Not sure if Fast X is streaming anywhere, but I'm sure you can find it if you look hard enough. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks again for watching. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.